All right, everyone. So now that we have our game set up, we can go ahead and start scoring it by plays. Now, most of the time, you're going to get some simple plays, singles, doubles, etc., easy throwouts. But there are some tricky plays that'll happen once a game or once every few games or even once a season that will throw even an SID for a loop as far as how they need to score it. So we'll go over some of those, but most of the time you're just going to have some basic plays, and there is a cheat sheet that will be provided to you for you to go over for your reference, and that also show you how to score some of those more tricky plays that are more rare. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So as you can see, we have our person at the top of our order right here, and we have our players here on the field. And in a separate tutorial, I should say, I will go over how to do some subs as well. So first, we're going to go ahead and input pitches. Now, if there's anything that you can skip out on, perhaps your assistant coach doing this during the game or whatever, you do not necessarily need to input the pitches. It can be helpful, but is not a necessity. It does not show anywhere in the box score. But if you want to be precise, this is the best way to do it. So you're going to click in to the box below the batter, click input pitches, and here you have the options of what pitches come. You can either click this button here, or you could type it in based on the letter next to it here. So let's say this batter gets 2 balls, swings at a strike, gets a looking strike, and then puts the ball into play. It'll take you back to this screen here, and now you have to input your action. So let's say this player gets a base hit, or I should say a single. So 1B would indicate a single. Now you can go ahead and enter, and it'll put this player on first base, but it is always best practice to add a location as well. And the locations are pretty straightforward. They are on the cheat sheet, but it is basically by position number. So a single to left would be 1B7, to center 1B8, etc. You can also do down the left line, which is be LL, down the right line RL, left side LS, right side RS. So we're gonna go ahead and say she hit a single to right field, 1B9, enter, and you can see it's placed. She is placed here on first base, and you can also see here in the recent plays she has single to right field. So now we'll go to the next batter just to get a couple examples. We'll say input pitches. She hit the first pitch, put into play, and she doubled to also right field, enter. So now this will automatically send you to the player that's on base, so that you can accurately represent where she advanced. So 1+ would mean she advanced to second, which in this case is impossible because there was a double hit. So 2+, she advanced to third. 3+, she scored. So we're going to say she scored on this play. We're going to hit enter. How many RBIs? If this is indeed an RBI, which in this case it is, we're going to hit 1 RBI. And it asks you that because if there's an error on the play where someone scores, it might not be an RBI. Or if 2 players score, you could hit the enter 2 for an RBI. Or there may be some cases where 2 people scored, but only 1 counts as an RBI, and the other player scored an error. Then that is for your judgment or the judgment of the official score. So now we can see here we have number 1. She doubled. She is now showing on second base. We see that Boone scored, so she is no longer reflected here, but you can see in the recent plays, Colazzo doubled to right field, 1 RBI, and Boone scored. And again, you also see this up here in the running box score. The score is now 1-0, with 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, etc. So now let's show you how to get some outs. So the simplest one, obviously, would be a strikeout. Let's say ball, looking strike, swinging strike, and then say she struck out looking. It'll automatically put in a K out for strikeout looking. If for some reason, you messed that up, it should be a swinging. It would be in as KS. Simple, you just hit enter. Again, it'll put you over to the runner just to make sure that nothing happened with her during that play. In this case, we'll say it didn't. Enter. And now we see line struck out swinging. And we also see now here 1 out as well. So let's get a couple simple plays. Let's say number 4 flies out. I'm not going to go through the pitches every time now just for time's sake. So let's say she flies out to left field. It'll be fly out is the code for fly out is F. Again, this is all reflected in the cheat sheet that you can reference. And then now it's just the position. So to left would be 7, F7, F8 if it's the center, etc. If she popped out to the catcher, popped out to third base. Again, it's just based on position number. So we'll say she flew out to right field. Enter. Now, let's say in this instance, number one, advance on this play. She tagged up and was able to go to third. Now you just give her the plus here. She was able to advance. And let's say it was advance on the throw situation. You could add in the plus T as well. So flat out to right, advances third on the throw, and again we have 2 outs. And now let's do like a ground ball play. So let's say Snow hit a grounder to shortstop and then was thrown at her first. Is a simple 6-3. That easy. Again, 5-3, 1-3, 1-3 depending on what the play is. That simple. So let's say she hit it back to the pitcher, 1-3. Enter. She did not score. We're just going to hit enter through there. And now that's third out. So you'll get this automatically popping up here. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left on base, your inning summary, and then due up for the home team that's batting next. And then we could go ahead and edit plays if we realize we made a mistake, or we go to the next inning. So for now, we'll go to the next inning. Now let's do a couple different scenarios here. So let's say number 1, singles to left field. Let's just get her on base. So 1B to 7, enter. Now during our next batter, let's say there's a ball, and then there was another ball, but on that pitch, number 1 steals second. So we just go SB, steals second, stolen base, and that'll automatically put her on second. Now let's say there's one more pitch. Say there's a wild pitch now. So wild pitch, that was a ball. She advances on a wild pitch. Similarly, if it was a passed ball, just a PB for a pass ball, and that'll automatically advance her as well 1 more base. As we see here, advance on a pass ball. Again, you're not going to remember all of these code names the first time you do them. You will need that cheat sheet. That will be very valuable to you. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. Pass ball, PB, wild pitch, WB, WP, single is 1B, etc. But that cheat sheet will be helpful for you. And the more you stat, or the more whoever you designate stats, the more familiar they'll become, and the less reliant they will need to be on that cheat sheet. So on something, let's say we have a situation here where our player gets on base with an error. So let's say she hits the ball back to the pitcher, but the pitcher overthrows first base. So she would have advanced safely to first on a throwing error by first. So error 1 for the pitcher. Throwing, because it was a throwing error. If she bobbled it, went through her legs, it would be a fielding error. So for now, we're going to go throwing error. And some of these designations aren't needed. You could just put error on the pitcher, and that would be okay. But the more precise you could be, the better. Similarly, like I said earlier, if there's a single, you could just put 1B. But if you want to be more precise, then you could put the location code as well. So let's be precise here. Error on the pitcher, throwing, enter. And now we'll get to the batter here. Let's say she scored. We'll get that plus, enter. And is it scored an earned run? So some of this time, this will be a judgment call. If there's an error, but we think the runner would have scored anyways, then it can still be counted as an earned run. In this case, if the play is made cleanly, she would not have scored. So let's say this is not an earned run. No. RBI, there's no RBI there, because if the play was handled correctly, there would have been no score. So we're going to hit a 0 in there for RBI. Okay. But now, let's say we made a mistake on our judgment. Let's say that the first baseman should have caught it, and the error should have been on the first baseman and not the pitcher. So how do we fix this? Well, we have our edit buttons here on the side that are very handy for our recent plays. We could go ahead and click edit there, edit play, or if there's a play you need to edit that's further down, you can hit on the full play-by-play, and as the game goes along, there'll be tabs by each inning along here, and find the play you need to edit. So we're going ahead and edit the most recent play here, which was a throw in error. Edit again, and now let's say no, that wasn't an error on first. It was actually an error on the first baseman. So first baseman, enter, and this UE just simply means that it was an unearned scored. Enter again, still 0 RBIs. Play was successfully edited, and now we have the change here to a fielding error. It's just try to go through a few or a little more than a few situations, so you can see different keystrokes. So we may have a couple epic or and eventful innings here. So let's go through a few. And if I have a short pause, just because I'm referencing the cheat sheet myself to make sure I go over different situations for you. So we went over singles and then location. That would be right to right field. Double, triple, 3B. Home run, same thing. HR and location. Home run to center field. Or enter. And this I believe, and I'll double check right now. It won't give you an option to do anything else. It'll automatically count the RBI and advance. Number 4 is currently on first base to home. Enter. Earned run, because we had an error earlier in the inning. So in this case, it would be an earned run because that error would only make it 1 out. So it would still be an earned run. So we're going to head and say yes. She's also an earned run. So now we have the bases cleared. Home run, 2 RBI. Jubas, who was on first, scored. Our score is now 3-1. For our next player walks, again, if we're inputting pitches, you hit 4 balls, it's going to put it in there for you automatically. Walk. If for some reason there's an intentional walk, which I can't remember correctly currently if there's intentional walks for softball right now, intentional walk is just simply IBB, intentional base on balls. And then we're going to advance this runner over, just with the plus sign again. The player is hit by a pitch, just HB again, or HP. Again, a lot of these are common sense. Plus, bases loaded. Player was hit by a pitch. So let's say there is a situation where there is a double play now. And this is a good chance for you to see how complex some of the scoring could be when there's a lot of runners on base. So let's say Phillips hits into a double play to shortstop. So we're going to say it was a 6-4-3 and double play, DP. If it was a triple play, TP. So double play. And now the next thing you have to do is mark which other of the runners was out on the play. And you do that by simply putting an X into their box. So in this case, Newton would have been thrown out at second. We're going to give her an X. So she is now out. And then we're going to say what happened here. We'll say she advanced to third, and we'll say she scored. So we have a 6-4-3 double play, shortstop to second base to first. Phillips was out. Newton is X'd out. Story advances to third. And then number 9 here scores. We're going to hit enter, and we're going to get a couple pop-up screens right here. So it's her run and earned run. So in this case, we're going to say no, because there was already an error once in the inning. So there should be 1 out currently. So the double play would end the inning. So it would be not an earned run. You're softball coaches. I don't need to explain this to you. You know when there's an earned run or not an earned run. So forgive me if I'm over explaining here. But that she would not be an earned run. So we'd hit no. And then we see all of our changes here. Just the runner that advanced to third. We have 2 outs. And then we have our long play summary here. Hit into a double play, shortstop to second to first. Newton out on the play, advanced to third, scored, unearned. So now we have 2 outs. So there are going to be times when people score or advance based on catcher interference or batter interference. So this one always gets me because it's a play I don't do very often, so I always forget. But the key is CI, catcher interference. And oh, that was correct. So let's say Story say it on third. Oh, perfect. That's simple. That was easy. So catcher interference, CI. So the last out. So let's end this inning. So like I mentioned earlier, the outs, if they're ground outs or a thrown out, it's as simple as putting in the numbers. For example, pitcher to first, 1-3. There's say it was a bunt, catcher to third, etc. 6-3, 5-3, 7-3. But let's say it's an unassisted play. The ball is hit to the first baseman, and she just tags the bag on her own. So how we signal that? It's 3 UA. So 3 unassisted. Similarly, if in this case the ball was hit to the shortstop, and shortstop tags second, Gordon would be out on the play, so she would simply be out 6 UA. But we can't have a play entered with nothing here for the batter if she was indeed grounded out, or if she indeed hit into this fielder's choice. So what we do for a fielder's choice, just FC, that simple, FC. So this play says number 18, and we can even do FC6, hit in a fielder's choice to shortstop, Gordon out, 6 unassisted. We're going to enter through that, and you see it'll change it to capitalized, or it'll eliminate a space or add a space as needed, so you don't have to worry about that too much. And we're just going to enter through because nothing happened with 10. And then at the end of the inning, reach on fielder's choice to shortstop, out at second, shortstop unassisted. And we're going to say next inning. For some other situations, so let's go over an assisted put out here. So let's say Knight hits the ball to right field, and she gets thrown out at third base. So we have to award her credit for any base she reaches safely. So in this case, if the situation is she hits the right field, let's say number 18 throws it to number 9, the second baseman, who throws it to number 10, and that's how Knight is out of the play. So we have to award her a double because she reached second safely. So a double to right field, 9. And then she is put out as a 9 to second base, 4 to third base, 5. I'm going to hit enter. And you see she's cleared out, 1 out here, and that is reflected. Double to right field, out at third, right field to second base to third. That simple. And let's say we have let's put her on base here. Same thing if a batter is thrown out. So let's say Hansen singles to right. Right fielder's getting a lot of work in this game. And let's say same situation happened. Reigns now gets thrown out at third. So we need to advance her first to second. So plus advance her to second. And then she's thrown out at third base, right field to second base to third base. Enter. Hansen advances to first. And we see there's no one on third because she was thrown out. So Hansen single to right. Reigns advances second, out at third, right, second base to third base. So that's how you do assisted plays there. Make sure that each player, the players that need to get credit with assist, will automatically now get credited with an assist. So let's get out of this inning here, and we're going to go over some sacrifice plays. Enter, next inning. Where are we? In the second inning. And you can see the highlighted inning here is the inning you are in. So let's say Zipper gets on base. Let's say, actually, let's get her out first. So I mentioned flyouts are just F with the number associated with it. Pop outs are P, again with the number associated with the position that makes a play. And similarly, line out, same thing. L with the number associated. So she lined out to second base. All right, now let's put number 4 on base. Let's just get her a nice, easy single to 6, infield single, beat it out. And now Wells is going to move her over, and she's going to lay down a sacrifice bunt to do that. So she lays down a bunt. Catcher gets the ball, throws her out at first, 2-3. And now we're going to put in sac, BU. So that is a sacrifice bunt. Enter. Jubas makes it safely. Enter. Grounded out. Sac bunt. Easy as that. Now I'm going to go ahead and get out of this inning here. Let's say a strikeout swinging. Enter. Now let's look at what a sacrifice fly looks like. So sacrifice fly, as a reminder, can only be credited if a runner scores on the play. So Boone, leadoff triple here. Triple to deep center. And now number 1 comes up. She's going to hit a sacrifice fly to right field. So F9 for the fly out to right field. And then simple, just SF, sacrifice fly. Boone scores. We hit that plus button. Enter. Oh, and I made a typo right there. Should not be an N. Sacrifice fly. There you go. F9 sacrifice fly plus. Enter, enter. And she does get credited with that RBI. So get put in a 1 there. And here we go. Fly out to right. Sacrifice fly. 1 RBI. Boone scored. I mentioned pass balls and wild pitches, PB, WB. Let's go over a few more air situations. So lines, let's say she hits a fly ball to center fielder. The center fielder just drops the ball completely. So we credit that as an E8 fielding. And again, the F is not needed, just like if it was a throwing error, you put it a T, is not needed, but it just makes the play more precise. So if you can, go ahead and enter that as well. So air, 8 fielding, enter, reach on a fielding error by center field. Now, if a player is out on a foul ball, let's say she fouls out to a player. So we're just going to say F, that's the code, and then now the position. So let's say she popped it up to the catcher in foul territory, number 2, just the player. Same thing, she hit it down the line to down the left field line into foul territory, and the left fielder made a play. F7, enter. Lines didn't do anything. Fouled out to left field. But you can also credit an error on a dropped foul ball. And all you need to do with that is add in the error code, which again is E, the player who committed the error. In this case, let's say that the left fielder was in foul territory and dropped the ball. So E7. And now dropped foul. You guessed it, DF for the code. Dropped foul, line stayed at first, enter, drop foul ball, E7. And we see that Snow here is still batting. So where plays get a little tricky are on errors. Errors can be the more complex scores to enter, just because there's more moving parts, especially people score, things like that. So we're gonna say here that Snow singles to right field, but then is able to advance to second on a throwing error. And on that throwing error, Lines is going to score. So as you can imagine it, the play happens. Snow hits the ball to right field. Lines is running to second. The right fielder tries to throw out Lines at third. Overthrows the third baseman. Lion scores. And let's say Snow's actually going to go all the way to third base. So Snow's going to single. 1B to right field. Now, for more complicated plays, for me, it makes sense to score them how they happen. So we're gonna go come back and put more things into Snow's box here, but I like to score them as the play is developing. Just makes better sense in my head. So she's singles to right field, Lions advance to second, and then she advanced safely to third on a throwing error by the right fielder. So error, right fielder 9, and it's a throwing error. So we got the T. So that now will get her safely to third base, and then we're going to say she scores on that play, so we give her another plus. Now, after that error occurs, Snow takes advantage, and she advances all the way to third base. So that gets her to second base, and now that gets her to third. It's important here that we only credit one error. So even though it was the throwing error by the right fielder that allowed Snow to advance, we don't want to put in another E9 here because then that will put 2 errors on the play. So the one error here is enough, and then we can just add the plus signs for Snow. So let's see if this works. And again, does this little correction for you. And just a note, there will be times where you may make a mistake with sometimes the space in between do matter more. So let's see here. If I get rid of this space, it'll probably have both players here on third base. Let's see. Yeah, it puts them both on the same base. If I add that space back, it'll record this as 2 separate advances. Right now, if with this space gone, it just advances as she advanced 1 base on a throwing error. So we want to make sure to keep that space there. Again, some of the minor things in Presto that won't come up very often, but can create a little bit of a headache. So just make sure we keep that space here. Enter. And is Lions an earned run? No, it's not an earned run because she should be out. Is that an RBI? And sometimes here, in this instance, it will not be an RBI because we're saying she should have been out at third, but there can still be an RBI on an error, as I don't need to explain to you. So just make sure you use your judgment. If the runner would have scored without an error, then it is still an RBI. So we're going to say no RBI in this case. And now we see here, Snow's on third. Snow single to right field, advance to third. Lions advance to second, advance to third on a throwing error by right field, scored, unearned. And now we have 2 outs, perfect, runner on third base. So I'm going to go through a couple more scenarios here, and then I will go over substitutions, and then a couple very specific things like how to place a runner on second base if you are in an international tiebreaker situation. Sample situations, I'm going to get us to a clean inning here. So let's say Knight just lines out here to first baseman. First baseman makes a great play. And we're into a new inning. So let's get a runner on first base so we can look at how to do a lined out double play. Again, just a reminder, if there was a grounded double play, we went over this. Say it was a hit to third base, that was thrown then to the second baseman and then to third. That would be a 5-4-3 double play, and story would be X'd out on the play. But how do we do that in the case of a line drive or a fly out double play? So say instead of a grounder to the third baseman, Newton lines out to the third baseman, so just an L5, and then she throws it back to first base to get out Story. So it'll just be a line to third baseman to first baseman, double play, and again she's X on that play. So again, lined up to the third baseman, she threw to the first baseman, it's a double play, Story is out, and there we have it there, lined into a double play, third to first, Story out on the play. And you would do it the same thing if it was a fly ball. Instead of L, you would put F. So there are going to be instances where someone reaches base safely on a error by a first baseman usually, but we can still credit the thrower with an assist. So in this situation, let's say Phillips hits a ground ball to the shortstop. Shortstop makes a good throw to the first baseman. First baseman just drops the ball. So Phillips would advance on a error by the first baseman, 3. But we want to make sure we credit that assist. So we would give her an A. So it would just be A6. enter. And we can see here, reach first on an air by first baseman, assist by assist by third base. For a double play, which an unassisted double play. So let me get to a new ending to show you that. So for an unassisted double play, let's get Reigns here on first base. So in this situation, we'll say it was a line out to the first baseman, and then she tags her own base. So line out to first base, and then it is an unassisted double play, and then we just give her the X here because she's also out on the play. So line out to first baseman, unassisted double play. Line a double play, first baseman unassisted. And again, you can change that out based on which player makes the play, but it'll just use that UA button, similar to if the ball is hit straight to the first baseman, it would just be a 3 UA there for unassisted play. When there's a play at a plate and the runner advances because she is essentially being ignored. So in this situation, we'll say that Shiflett doubled. We'll say she doubled to center field. And then number 18, she is going to score on the play. She'll go all the way home. But when, let's say in this case, the center fielder throws the ball all the way to the plate to try to get her out, number 1 takes advantage of that and advances to third on the throw. So we just give her an advance. That gets her to third. And then to be more precise, T, she advances on the throw. So again, this is a double to center field. She rounds the bases and scores. She beats the throw home from center field. Number 1 takes advantage and advances to third on the throw. Is this an RBI? We're going to, yes, credit her with the RBI on this play. So double to center field, advance on the throw to third on the throw, 1 RBI, and Njokas scored. So let's go over some stolen bases. I think I did that briefly. So let's get number 4 on base here. Let's just say she walked. And now number 4 is going to score. So how this usually happens, you're in the process of adding the balls and strikes. And what always happens to me almost every time is that when there is a throwdown, I will forget the pitch that just happened. So just make sure you're also paying attention with whoever's running the scoreboard, or that you have another set of eyes. But that's something easy to correct. So there's a pitch that happens, and then we see number 4 goes to steal second base. So we're going to close out, and it's just SB, stolen base. She does not move on that play, and it's that easy. Stole second. Now we also have situations where a runner steals a base, but then there's an error on the play and she advances. So first, let's say, let's create that situation. So I want Wells to hit a single. Actually, I want her to get out on this play. So she's going to hit a 6-3, grounds in. Juba stays at second. She's going to score on the play. That is an RBI. So now we want Jubas on this situation to steal third base, and then she's going to score on an error. So we give her credit for the stolen base, and I'll say it was an overthrow by the catcher. So we cannot assume an out on the play, so that's why we were going to credit a stolen base instead of an error for her advancing to third. But if the error advances her to advance an additional base, that is a situation where you would credit an error. So in this situation, she makes a run for third base. Catcher tries to throw her out, overthrows her. She slides in safely, and now she sees the ball's overthrown, and she scores home. So stolen base, and now it's an E2 for the catcher throwing. And is it an earned run? No, it's not. She should still be at third base. Stole third, scored on a throwing error by the catcher. And now caught stealing, almost just as simple. So let's get her a single to the left. She tries to steal second base, but the catcher gets her this time. She is throwing out second base. Let's say the shortstop covered the base. 2-6. Caught stealing. That easy there. Out at second. catcher to shortstop, caught stealing. All right, so one of the last plays I'm going to go over here is a dreaded rundown play, which again, this is a play that happens, once a season, a couple times a season. So in these situations, when you start noticing there's a pickle situation, what I like to do, I always like to keep a pen or a pencil handy and some paper. I just start writing down all the players involved in the play. So let's say in this situation, Story doubles to right field. Oops, excuse me. Let me delete that. So she doubles to right field. So she's now at second base, and she's trying to take third. And now we get into a rundown situation. So in my head, I'm watching. So actually, I'm writing this down as it's happening. I see the right fielder throw it to the cutoff person. Let's say second baseman. And again, I'm watching this happen, and I'm usually writing this down on a piece of paper because it's just quicker. So I'm seeing her throw the ball to the second baseman, to the third baseman. Story stops and starts heading back to second base. So the third baseman throws it back to the second baseman, who now, she's caught in the middle. She's running back. She throws it to the catcher, who's now covering the plate. And then she throws it over back to, let's say now, the right fielders covering the plate. And now the last time coming back this way, the pitcher's covering the play. And so you get a 1 there. So that play would look like a 9, 4, 5, 4, 2, 7, 1. But again, the scenario is she advanced to second base off the hit and gets caught in a pickle here. And there's a long rundown situation. Again, this is a situation that is very, very rare, but you might see it once a year. Do your best to try to record everyone that was involved in the play. Go ahead and hit enter. And we'll see here there's a long summary, double to right, out at third, second to second, to catcher, to left, to pitcher. And she's out on the play. Hopefully you never have a play that's this complicated, but that's how you would score it. Last few kind of specialty situations here. So let's get this player onto first base. So let's say we're in a situation where there is an illegal pitch, and that allows the runner to move over. Very simple. Illegal pitch, IP, advance on a second on illegal pitch. That easy there. Now let's say there is some kind of interference type of situation with a runner involved. So you have to credit a score on that play as a defensive out on that play. So you credit it with whoever is closest in that situation. So in this case, it would either be the second baseman or the shortstop. So let's say it's a 4 UA and there's interference on it. Enter, and we'll see out at third, unassisted interference. It doesn't sound quite correct that she is out at third, but that is how you would score an interference play in that situation. More specific situations would be a runner left early situation or an illegal pitch. So let's say Lyons is able to advance to base based on a legal pitch, just simple IP that gets her over to second base, advance second on a legal pitch. Now let's say she's out on the play because she left early. So we're just going to give her an RLE, runner left early. We need to score that play, so we're going to give it a 4 UA and then runner left early. And that should take care of it there. Second base, unassisted, runner left early. So the last specialty situation I want to show you, let me delete this real quick, is batter interference, and that is very simple. You just enter BI for the batter, and batter interference is shown, just like that. So now I want to get into editing plays a little bit more. As I mentioned, for the plays that are most recent, if you notice an error, you have the recent plays here, and you can just click on that edit button, edit, and make whatever changes you need to that specific play. And now, if you notice you've made an error that has happened earlier in the game, you click on this full play-by-play button, and you can navigate to the inning where the error is made. So this is really helpful for some simple mistakes, like say in this play here, we want to edit. She doubled to right field. We actually know we want to say she doubled to center field, something like that. Or it actually wasn't 9-4-5. It was actually 8-4-5. Save. Play edited successfully. So real simple edits. That's the easy way to do. So where editing plays can become a little tricky are when you need to insert a play. You may have missed something, you got distracted. It happens sometimes. So you've realized that you've missed a play and now you need to insert a play. So I'm going to create that scenario right now. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this last play just to make this a little easier. So let's say Newton walks. Now I see Phillips. She hits a single to right field. And she advances to third. And I'm ready to start scoring Gordon. I look up and realize Newton's actually not on third base. And I look up at the scoreboard and there's actually 1 out, not 0 out. So what happened? What did I miss? I asked someone, they say, oh yeah, Newton was caught stealing. And said, I completely missed that. How do I enter that? So I'm going to go to that full play-by-play. So here's the last play I entered. So in between her walking and in between the single, she was caught stealing. So I'm going to go ahead and click edit, and I'm going to insert one before. So that will bring this situation of what the play looks like right before that insert one before button I clicked. So she was caught stealing. So I'm going to say it was a 2-6 situation, caught stealing. And I'm going to hit save. This play also affects the next play is also affected by this change, which is correct because in the next play I had her advancing to third. So what it's going to do is take me to that next play and have me edit that. So I'm going to click OK. And now I see that she is not on the base here, but the last play I entered was a single, which is still true. Now the scenario is she just doesn't advance to third because she was already out. So I'm just going to hit enter and save. Play successfully edited. And now I can see in the full play-by-play, she walked. She was out at second, caught out at second, catcher to shortstop, caught stealing, and the next play, Phillips single to right field. We have our 1 out. We have only one person on base. There's going to be a few different times where you may miss that. Sometimes it's going to happen with subs. Luckily, it's softball. Your umpires are much more thorough than in baseball, and they will make sure to tell everyone what the subs are, so it's easier to record. But there may be a situation where you need to edit, insert one before, and then insert a substitution, and you can do that. Say that you missed a pitching change, you could change there, and I'll go over subs right now in a second fully, but that is another situation where you would need to insert a play. So now let's go over how to make some player substitutions. So the easiest substitutions to make in the Presto system are single player subs. So for example, let's say we're gonna have a pitch change here. Easy, just click on the pitcher's icon here, find the player that is being subbed in. We'll say it's number 78, and you'll see that change is made there. Auto and pitcher, and then also if you were to check the box score here, in the report section, box score. Or you also have play-by-play if you want to check the play-by-play. You'll see that Aloe has also been entered here as another pitcher. So all her stats are totals here, and now Aloe has been entered here as the next pitcher. So that's an easy way to do it. Similarly, pinch runners or pinch hitters. So let's say we got a runner in for number 15. We're just going to click on 15. We're going to say 99 checked in, pinch ran. And then we're going to say here, Gordon. We're going to have someone come in to hit for, say, number 30, pinch hit. And again, you can see that in our reports, the box score. We can see that here we have a pinch runner, and now we have a pinch hitter. So I'm going to show you what happens, though, what you'll be prompted to do at the end of an inning like this when you've had some substitutions. So let's just make some quick outs here. So now I'm going to hit next inning, and what should happen is I'll get prompted that I have some positions missing because players are currently entered as a pinch hitter and a pinch runner. So following defensive positions are missing: left field and center field. So I'm going to click OK. I'll get the lineup popped up automatically. So I see here we have our pinch runner and pinch hitter. So if they stay into the game and they enter whatever position that is missing, That's easy. Then you would just type it in. I believe we're missing the center fielder, 8. And so she stays in at center field. Perfect. Now let's say Lutz came in just as a pinch hitter and we're making an additional sub now. So then you can go ahead and put that next player in. Say 28 came in and she's playing, which was mission? I am missing left field. Make that sub that way. Save. And now we'll see the players are reflected there and we have no errors. Excuse me, and we have that warning screen is now gone. If there are multiple subs that happen at the same time, let's say it's against the end of an inning, there's going to be some defensive changes. I would not recommend just clicking and changing here, again, unless there's a pitcher. The simplest way is to go into your rosters, find the team you're working with, which in our case, our defensive team is, I believe, let's double check this, is Stats 1. Stats 1 is our defensive team. So I'm going to go into rosters, Stats 1. I'm going to change my lineup. And now you can make whatever changes are needed. And that's what the umpire will come and say number 27 is in at the 3 spot, playing third base. Third baseman moves to first base. And we have a new shortstop coming in, number 26, and she's staying in at short. That is the easiest way to do that. So again, single subs for pitchers or pinch hitters or pinch runners, easiest to click and make that change. If we have multiple changes and position changes, easiest to go into the roster tab, click on the correct team, change lineup, and then go ahead and select the correct team, select the correct player, and enter the correct position there. That is the easiest way to do that. And finally, the last thing I want to show you before we do the wrap up is if you're in a situation, an international tiebreaker, when you need to place a runner on a base, this is how you do it. So I see here we have the start of an inning, 0 out, Sale is up to bat. Sale is in the 4 spot in the lineup. So let's say we need to put Lions on second base to start the inning. So this is how we do that. First, click into the batter's box area. You're going to type in R colon the number of the order of the person you need to place. So not their actual team number, their number in the lineup. So we want the 3 spot to be placed. And where do we want to place them? Comma. And we want to put them on base number 2, on second base. 2, enter. Now we have Lions on second base. In a recent place, Lions placed on second. So that's all it is. I'll show you one more time. So R colon their number in the lineup. So let's just say for some reason we're going to do this player here. So they're number 2 in the lineup. So we're going to put 2, comma, and we want them on second base. 2, enter. And again, see, that player is placed on second base. That's how you do it.